Welcome to Lead, Laugh, Love, where we talk about the slightly twisted realities of leadership, workplace culture, and finding balance when work and life collide.
Welcome to today's episode of Lead, Laugh, Love. Today we'll be talking about how everyone is a leader. It just looks a little different depending on the moment. Let's get into it.
Hey, Tim.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. And
Hi,
Tim.
Kimmy. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. It's Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Had a great weekend so far. Have a couple more things to do today, but lots of time and energy to do it. So you
Just a
can't.
play of football to watch.
So much football to watch. Let's go.
I hope we have all the channels that these games are on now.
My credit card's ready if we don't. If there's one thing
It's a bit
I'm
ridiculous.
never worried about, it's subscribing to a streaming service. And I really admire people who are like very methodical of like maximizing their subscription services. And like we have every streaming service, we have
Almost.
cable, we still have DVR. Is that what they even call it anymore?
I think so.
Where you can record live TV.
Right.
That is not an area of my life in which I've been fiscally responsible. No.
And it drives me crazy too.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to become one of those people that is like very methodical about it, I support your endeavor, but I'm not interested in participating.
Well, it's like, I think the irritating thing is that these services have gotten really good at like always having at least one or two good shows.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I don't want to give it up because
Yeah.
this show is good. And then maybe another show will be good.
Right.
So you endlessly search for that next.
Right. And now NFL football has made it more complicated because I have a zero tolerance policy for being incapable of watching a sporting event that I want to watch. So if I have to subscribe to Peacock to watch one football game a year, I'm doing it.
They've got you.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is the problem.
Yeah, I'm a real sucker.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
The biggest suckers are marketers by trade.
Well,
because we appreciate the effort. We know what's going on in those dashboards. Someone's trying to hit a metric or a goal, and we're like, we got you.
Yeah. I just think we're getting to a dangerous level of capitalism.
Yes.
But
let's shut that down. No one came to Lead, Laugh, Love to listen to your capitalism rants.
Well, let's be careful, right? We are a society. Let's take care of each other. That's part of our thing here, right?
That's right.
So
that is right. But anyways, that was a good warm up. So we were talking about leadership, big surprise. And something that you've been going through a lot in your leadership journey is really understanding the kind of leader you are. Like you've always had a very strong drive towards leadership from what I've seen. But I think you really have started to hone in on like what your leadership style actually is with like words and descriptions, which has therefore empowered you to lean into that archetype more and more, which got us talking about, what's my style, what's other people's styles that we've talked to about this topic. And, I'm sure there's so much research on leadership genres or styles and how they fit together, don't fit together. So we've been just talking about what we think some of ours are given different situations and what our defaults are versus what we stay away from the most. So that's what we wanted to talk about today of just, we touched on last time, everybody is a leader. So I think it's really been interesting for me to spend more time thinking about as we prepared to have this conversation today. And I find it quite empowering to have enough experience as a leader now to feel like I have a default versus other ones I tap into. And it gives me confidence when I'm leaning into, especially the types that I don't default to. It was a long-winded way to introduce the idea of, so there were a handful of genres we've talked about, and I'm sure there are many more and other ways to categorize them. So the one I would love to hear a little bit more from your point of view, because I believe it's the one you resonate with as your default, is an advocate. That's a real leadership style that I see show up in you personally and professionally.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was something that was a label I got recently from our good friend Wendy Robinson. Uh, Shout out.
Shout out, Wendy.
Where she, we were over here just having, good conversation. And, she was like, "You're an advocate, dude." She's like, "You've always been, and it's interesting. Like as we're talking with Damien last night, um, like you just don't always know how people see you, perceive you. Not even perceive, because perception isn't necessarily reality. So, the people around us that really see us for who we are, and for somebody to call that quality out was kind of took me back a little bit. Like, okay, yeah, I can see that. Um, my son is autistic, and that showed up very early in his life. I think he was like 3 when we finally got him diagnosed, and I was just kind of happy, right? Like, oh, we have a label,
An answer.
right? Now we can attack whatever this is, right? I had no idea, like,
Right.
oh, this is.
Yeah. So, advocacy became your identity. Brendan's in his 20s now. So 17, 18 years ago, advocism was just part of your day to day. And it certainly is still part of your day to day now with our family and everything that you do to build a better quality of life for him. You never stop advocating. And I truly think that is what shaped your leadership style in so many other situations, including professionally.
Yeah, 100%.
You're advocating, which
constantly advocating, right? But as
yeah,
a parent,
it's
because you're speaking on the behalf, and I don't know that everybody understood that.
yeah,
But I don't care, because my
because
purpose
you're
was
to be an advocate,
right.
truly. And yeah, again, like that energy shows up in so many other areas of your life, or that skill set. Like once you're ready to advocate for something, it is like, stay out of your way. Tim's gonna get this across to the people that need to get it.
Yeah. Well, and that's just, I'm also a Taurus and very stubborn. So it's, once I have an idea of how I want to advocate and what the best situation is, I have a hard time shutting it
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. So when I was thinking about the advocate sort of subgenre, as we've talked about it, the things I wrote down were speaks up for others, creates psychological safety as the priority, brings clarity and fairness, and you lead without authority. And I think all of those bullets, I see you show up as an advocate in those ways a lot.
There's some authoritative leadership that happens at times.
Well, yes, for sure. I'm not saying it's your only subgenre, but when you're truly in your advocate mindset, those are the things that I see consistently.
Well, and growing up, society teaches males to, be strong, be loud, and tough love, right? And so very early on in my career, I was a very authoritative leader. And I think it was, I remember the conversation, but I think it took one of the individuals on my team was transferring to another area of the business, and sitting down, just kind of talking through like transition and things like that. And he told me that the main reason he was leaving the team was because of me and my leadership style.
And when you were being authoritative by default.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And boy, did that hit hard, because it's a close personal, still a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And like we hung out all the time, and it was just like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, how could you, like, we're friends. Like, how can you leave my team because of me? Like, how could work be any better? Right. Like, so it was a really eye-opening experience for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So you touched on authoritative was one of the other kind of subgenres I wrote down. And I think authoritative leadership style is certainly not a default of mine. I don't think it's a default of yours anymore, but I think we both exercise authoritative leadership when it's helpful and necessary, as well as when we maybe are just in a situation that we feel like calls for it. I think for me, it's not my default, but I will bring it out when there's urgency and crisis in work. And I use those terms as it relates to the kind of work I do. When quick decisions are required, I think authoritative leadership is really helpful and impactful. And I do think it's a really great leadership style that reduces ambiguity. So I have experienced quite a bit of authoritative leadership, in peers and leaders at the companies I've been at, because I've worked at a lot of startups.
Yeah.
By nature, startups can be a bit chaotic. We need to make quick decisions. There's a lot of ambiguity that we have to continue to cut through every single day. And there is a lot of urgency and crisis. You're literally like clawing for market share before it's all taken up by other people. So I think authoritative leadership is really admirable and really effective when it's used in the right situations and with the right people.
Yeah. So I guess like what do you when you hear authoritative leadership, like what do you think of?
Well, my gut reaction is ugh.
Yeah.
Because me as a person, I'm very sensitive, very emotional. So the word authoritative just feels aggressive. But then like once I get over my ugh feeling, I'm like, okay, wait, what does authoritative leadership actually mean? It doesn't mean someone who's mean and aggressive and my way is the only way. It's all the things I already mentioned of like someone who can stay calm in a crisis, someone who can make a decision when no one else has the confidence or experience to do so.
Well, and for me, I think it's even making those decisions like proactively,
Yes.
like instinctively. Like
right.
There isn't a moment where you're like wondering who's going to step in and say something or who's going to like
right.
make this decision. Like it's there, you're already leading through that crisis.
Right. Yeah. So I have this like mixed feeling towards authoritative leadership style because my instinct is that it's scary and aggressive.
Yeah.
But I think that's a bad reaction to have. And I've worked really hard to get away from that gut reaction to it because I've seen it be so effective and clear as kind, as many of us say. And I think authoritative leadership style really cuts to clarity. So we talked a little bit about advocate, authoritative. So I have a few others that I think fit in that group. So promoter. We had this conversation where you identified this advocate type with you with our friend Wendy. And our friend Wendy is absolutely a promoter. And there's this video she has shared with us, and I think we had both seen before. We should share the link to it in the show notes. But the whole concept is a first follower.
Right.
This video kind of shows this person dancing, and everyone else around them is just kind of watching, like, what's this person doing? Eventually, someone from that audience joins in. And that first follower does a lot of things. That's an amazing leadership style to really show everyone else like, okay, well, look at what we're doing. This is so fun. And they get other people to join in and they communicate a permission structure to join in and follow something. So a promoter / first follower, cheerleader, I think that's a really often underappreciated leadership style.
Yeah.
I know I appreciate it because that gives me a lot of confidence to go lead the way I want to lead, but it often goes unnoticed, I believe.
Yeah. And I think it's, we need it, right? Like as leaders of people on our team, if nobody is following our style, if we're the ones out there dancing and nobody's joining in,
yeah,
and I think like a concept that the video talks about at the very beginning when this individual is in the middle of the field dancing. The narrator says like the steps have to be easy to follow, right? Like if you see somebody out there like breakdancing, it's like I'm not going out there.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that.
I'm not joining. Like it looks fun.
Yeah.
And boy, I wish I could do that, but I'm not going out there and like
right.
Like I'm further embarrassing myself, right?
Right.
And so like that concept of like introducing easy steps for that first follower, for people to follow along. And so I think that is like a very interesting concept when you apply it to like corporate world of like how can I make my leadership style easy enough to get some followers? And when you're the first follower,
right,
you have to demonstrate that level of vulnerability of like, I do believe in following this individual.
They're like selling the vision. Yeah. And I think to like my whole be warm and competent, once I had that phrase, I would actually discuss it with my direct reports, and some people would really resonate with. They would kind of be like, okay, I understand what you're saying and all of the things that fit under warm and competent, what that actually means. And I think that helps you build trust of like, this is how I'm going to show up for you and what it means, getting people to trust you and be your promoter, first follower, and then hopefully building, a whole team of promoters.
Yeah. You say warm and competent, and I think we can hear the word competent and understand like what that means, like that, like, so in any given situation, just having an understanding of what you're talking about and an ability to execute things like that. But when you say warm, that's very subjective.
It is.
So how
warm for me is I don't have to be nice all the time. Am I a nice person? I think so, probably. But warm to me is more about kindness. And kindness isn't just being friendly and easygoing. It's giving clarity, giving support, giving critical feedback when it's necessary for someone's growth and improvement, and creating an environment where everyone does feel welcome and psychologically safe. So I put all of those things under warm. Like, I want people to come to the workplace remotely and physically, however they come to work, and feel like it's a safe place for them, whatever that means, to do work that they've never done, and experiment, to try and fail, to tell me very quickly and honestly when something's gone wrong that I can help them with, and not have fear of being reprimanded for that or looked at differently because they made a mistake. That they feel like I'm always giving them clarity in what's going on. I'm being as transparent as possible within the guardrails of what's appropriate. So that's what I think about warmth. So it is very subjective, but that's how I think about it. And you did a great job describing competent. But something else that I think about, like if I need to be competent, I work with the work that I do in marketing operations has many different functions that can roll into that. It's subjective company to company. And then even with that, it's subjective within how your company goes to market, what systems you use, what kind of teams you partner with. So I'm doing a lot of context switching by nature. And for me, I cannot be an expert at everybody's job on my team. Some of their jobs I've done, but it was a different time when things were different. Some of their jobs I've never done, but I make sure that I am educated enough on what their day-to-day looks like, what kind of challenges they have to go through. So my promise to them is I will at least be competent in what you do, how you do it, what success looks like, what challenges look like, so that I can be there with you. So for me, it's I cannot be an expert at pretty much anything, but I can be competent at many things. And hopefully, if I'm competent enough about all of the things that my teams are able to do, then I provide value as a leader. I can understand the context, I can understand the challenges, and I can understand what success looks like. someone who leads a completely different kind of function in marketing may see the work that my team gets done all day and be like, okay, is that good?
Yeah.
So for me, it's really important to be competent about what my teams do and our partner teams do, because more than anything, I want to be able to recognize good work so that we can multiply it and double down on it. So it's all the things you said about competent, but specifically it's that.
Yeah, you took it to another level, but yeah, that was awesome. You taught me some things there too about, as I reflect on my own level of competence, and am I competent enough to lead, my team? And it's tough because as manager, you're pulled in, like you said, there's
So
so
many
much
directions,
context switching,
so much.
especially in these startup worlds where you're just having to move so quick and there's so much coming at you. Yeah,
It's a
that's
lot.
tough. Yeah, and that actually goes back to one of our video shorts where I was talking about how um people don't want to be told that they're valued. They want to
They want to
feel.
feel it.
And I think when you can show that you're competent and you can understand the effort that they went through to make the thing happen, and you can show up for them in that moment, like I think that is
Yeah.
absolutely a way to help people feel
Yeah.
valued, know that they're valued.
Yeah. And that's why I've really have the favorite jobs I've had over the years at these companies. I've always enjoyed my time most working under a CMO who had some understanding of operations, marketing operations. They've either had that job experience themselves earlier in their career or have just done a really good job about understanding the value of it, because those are the bosses I've had that have given me the most opportunity to build teams the most effectively, that have been the most talented, and I think given the most value to the companies I've been at before, because I have felt seen and I have felt valued for the true work of what me and my teams do. So, yeah, it's all connected.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
cool that you've had that level of support in your career where
Yeah.
you have been able to identify how your leaders have made you feel and apply it.
Yeah. Well, when you've worked at as many companies as I had, you have a pretty good data set to work off of, and you start to reflect on how you felt at certain organizations versus others and what those factors were. And, it's something now when I have the opportunity to make changes in my career, it's at the top of my list. Working for a leader who does understand the innate value is much higher in the priority list than it used to be.
Yeah.
Which is, how lucky am I to be able to prioritize that?
And I think part of it is kind of goes back to what I was saying, where we promote these individuals to a leadership role where they're responsible for people, and then we throw training at them and say, okay, now do this, and then there's really nothing built into their day-to-day to support those learnings. That it is something that takes intentionality. It is something that takes reflection. It is something that you have to really work on to develop. And you've heard me say this a million times, but one of the really good things that I learned in going through counseling is that human psychology teaches us that when we are under stress, we default to our instinctive behaviors.
Yeah.
And the analogy that was used at the time I was in counseling was a baseball player, right? He's, working in my scenario, it's going to be a he, but it could be a she as well.
Okay, great.
But like he's working on a new swing, maybe he's in a slump, so he's doing some different things, and maybe he's had a couple of days to practice this, but now he's in the middle of a game, and it's I don't know, the bottom of the ninth, they're down by a run, there's 2 outs, 2 strikes. Like the last thing this individual is thinking about is their new swing.
Yeah.
Right? Like they're just they're trying to shut their brain off, be in the moment, and their muscle memory is still tied to their old instinctive trainings. And so it's not really any different when we're talking about leadership and the
or
skills
anything.
that are involved there, that it takes time, it takes practice, it takes intentionality, so that when you're in a work environment and you're under stress and things are just being thrown at you and you have to make a decision, or you have to respond to a situation, or you have to have a conversation with an individual, those skills are built in, and it's you're not struggling to think about it or stumbling over your words or saying the wrong thing. You have been very lucky from the standpoint of having that level of support throughout your career.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah. I think for me, like a lot of my leadership style was developed because I did not have good leaders.
That's a whole interesting concept of when there is no leadership happening, what happens?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about advocate, kind of your default. We've talked about authoritative, how we tap into that from time to time, promoter, and how important that is for us and how we see that in others. So the other two I have left, one kind of a type that I think we all probably tap into, organizer or an operator as a leadership style. So someone that just really good at creating structure.
Love
Organizers. They take chaos, put it into a plan, and I think the magic they bring is like they will handle what others avoid.
Oh my gosh. And it's, for me,
yeah,
like you're just
yeah, right. You're so excited.
Like when I think about, like, the phrase of like, hey, if you were to open up your own business,
yeah,
like who would you bring with you? Right. Like I think about that all the time. And over the years, there've been so many, but like I would say the majority probably fall in that organizer category, because as an advocate, like I'm just chirping.
Yeah.
Right. Like I'm trying to get people moving, or, affect change from a verbose standpoint. Yes. Right. And so I need somebody behind me to like organize these ideas and these thoughts and put processes into place. And so, yeah, these individuals are just I can't do enough for them.
I think this leadership style is, again, just not celebrated enough.
No. If you're this individual on my team, you know how much I appreciate you. Yeah, same. Because I don't stop telling them, like, thank you. Because not only do I not do this work, I don't enjoy it. And so these individuals are saving my life on a day-to-day basis, because they are looking out for me, even though they don't know it.
Okay, so that brings us to the last kind of subgenre that we at least brought to the conversation, which is actually the one I self-identify with the most.
Okay, I'm curious.
I think you'll know right away. So a caretaker.
Yes, we have talked about this.
Yeah, so I definitely identify with that word, definitely personally and professionally. So for me, being a caretaker, I think the things I bring are like protecting the group, like however you want to describe that. Like I'm like feel like I want to be a protector. I want to anticipate needs, sometimes to an annoying degree, or at least, my 15-year-old son would say, so stop anticipating everything. Holding emotional and logistical space for people. I definitely hold emotional space for people, but even logistical space. Like I think I spend a lot of energy thinking about, like, how do I organize this work to ensure that this person can also prioritize this piece of thing and this self-development. And I looked at their calendar and I know they have this going on and they're on PTO. Like I spend so much time thinking about how to organize space logistically. And I definitely do that in my personal life as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible to think about, though, from, go back to the culture of work here for a second. Like that has to be incredibly hard, because that takes a lot of intentionality It takes a lot of understanding who your people are and how to move the pieces in the right way, that you're not stepping on toes or irritating people, and getting out of the way in time so that it's not perceived as being like a micromanager. But then also, you know, being a VP, like having to deal with the constant demands, because you're so close to the executive level. So you're taking everything that they're getting and just having to absorb those asks, those demands, those challenges, process all of that, and then move your people around.
I know, and I love it. It's like I find it so challenging, which I love a challenge. I'm so competitive. I'm like addicted to what you just described, being able to be so close to the executive level and understanding what does it truly take to keep a thriving and growing business in a competitive market going the right direction. And I'm only getting a fraction of that, right? There's so much I'm sure I'm not getting, but what I am getting is like, wow, this is fascinating. But I also love being so close to frontline managers and individual contributors. I don't work at massive companies with massive teams, so I'm still very close to hands on keyboard. And I love that, the two sides of that coin, and being the translator and being the filter both directions, like making sure that my people on my teams feel informed enough to understand why, and having context of why something is urgent, why we're switching things again. I also love managing up and reminding the executives I get to work with of like, these are individual contributors that are doing their darndest to get this done and also keep the lights on. And we have way more lights to keep on than you may remember since you've been closer to this. And I find a ton of joy in being right there squarely in the middle of all that. I mean, I also find a lot of exhaustion and a lot of heartache because it's not always easy to manage both. And what do I prioritize? How do I split my energy between those two things? Knowing, well, up here, this has to get done. This is the priority. But down here, this person needs logistical or emotional space to give their best work. It's really difficult to navigate. And that's why I love it so much. So I just love taking care of people. Unpack that more in therapy, but I do. I love it. And that's definitely my default. And like I talked about earlier, the longer I've been able to show up as a leader in that way and been at companies that welcome it and celebrate it, the more I do it. So the more confident I feel in speaking about how I lead. And it's just, man, midlife is awesome because it's just like, I'm out of shits to give. I need to put my all my energy that I do have into doing the things I do and how I do them, and stop second guessing myself. Well, we talked about, what was that, like five subgenres: advocate, caretaker, authoritative, promoter, organizer slash operator. So I think we touched on like what our defaults are. I'm certainly a caretaker by default. That's my kind of mode of operation, but I'll lean into authoritative when the work calls for it. Organizer is very native just to who I am and how I work and the kind of work I do. And I think your default is definitely advocate, but of the others, like what other ones do you feel like you tap into given the situations?
Yeah, I mean, the caretaker resonates. I think, having an individual that is vulnerable to society, has communication challenges, has dietary restrictions.
A lot of caretaking.
Yeah. So I think caretaker is definitely something that resonates. And those two, like being an advocate and a caretaker, and it's something I wanted to ask. Like when I don't get my way, being an advocate, right? It really haunts me. I struggle with the understanding, or the acceptance rather, of, you're not going to get the thing that you're asking for, or the thing that you're looking for isn't going to change. As a caretaker, I would imagine that it's difficult to see when you're, situations come up that you're unable to take care of your team in the way that you would like to, like, how do you take care of yourself? Like, how do you recover from that and show up the next day and still bring it?
Ugh. Yeah, it's so hard because, at least the way I show up as a caretaker, I talked a little bit about the logistical space I hold, but I also hold a lot of emotional space. And I went through, a few companies ago, was at a great place, great people, and ultimately the market isn't always great, right? So layoffs happen, and sometimes they happen for the first time. Someone from our people team, I think it was our chief people officer, uh, had this saying of, you have to be a colander, not a bull. And that phrase always really stuck with me because up until then, I was always a bull. Like, I'm going to hold all the water, all the emotion. I'll figure out where to put it. I'll figure out how to stretch this bowl. And I realized, like, you can't just keep changing the size of your bowl or how you hold water in it. It overflows. And then when it's overflowing, like, you can't take anything more in. It's just overflowing. So starting to conceptualize being a colander of, like, I can still feel these things. They can still flow through me and I can hold some of it, but I always need to be letting something go to make more room because I don't know how much more is coming into the top of this. And what can I let go of to make space for the most urgent, important things that will more quickly get my team back in a place where they feel productive and like they're contributing.
I kind of hinted on this before, but a lot of my leadership style has been developed from watching people go through pain and wanting to, again, I think this is the advocacy piece of me is like, I don't want to do that to people. There was a period of time I had been in leadership for roughly, I don't know, 10 years. And so I decided, like, maybe leadership isn't the thing for me. Maybe I need to take an individual contributor role. And it reminded me why I got into leadership in the first place. And that is where my leadership journey started, was, just being a young kid working retail. And we had, I worked for a company that sold electronic items, and we kept them in our lockup, right?
Yeah.
So you grab the little ticket, you take it to the service counter, and then, and at the time, only supervisors and store managers had keys to get into this area, right?
Okay,
So like,
got it.
voice recorders,
The peak of technology in the
label
early
makers.
2000s.
But anyway, we had a store manager who just could not. I don't even know why he was so angry, but like, he just did not want to get anything out of lockup. Just couldn't be more annoyed.
Couldn't be more annoyed with people coming to the store and spending money on the items in which they are not able to access themselves.
The expensive items.
Yeah, right.
The ones that are so precious, we lock them up.
Right.
Right. And I remember working in the customer service area, and the people that I worked with were like, I don't want to ask for this item. Right. So it was just like, they immediately take it from the customer, and then they turn around and just be like, Tim, will you go ask? And I didn't have a problem. I was just like, whatever. Like,
yeah.
What am I going to get in trouble for? What am I getting yelled at for? Right.
Right. For working retail and selling things.
Yeah. And so I remember taking this ticket, and I was like, hey, Pete, I need to get this thing out of lockup. And he is just so grumpy, just biggest size, pushes himself aggressively out of his chair. Okay. And I said to him, yeah, I'm sorry that we're selling these super expensive items here for you. And I was like, oh, and by the way, like, they bought the extended warranty plan on it too. But the extended warranties were just basically like free money.
Free money, right. You guys were scamming us all.
Yeah. Right. So, but it was focused. I mean, we talked about it all the time. So it's like, right, if you could sell, if you were one of these stores that sold the most of these.
Sure. Get a pizza party or something.
So he kind of like cracks this like smile,
Right.
you
Like, so
know.
sorry for doing our job so well, Pete.
All
My
right.
bad.
And it was like literally in that moment, our relationship changed. And he, as a matter of fact, started just giving me the keys
Okay.
to get, which was a big no-no. But he, like him and I became like the level of respect that we established in that moment was pretty cool. But it did not take away from the fact that like the reason I put myself in that position was because I was tired of seeing how his style,
Yeah.
what it was doing to all of these people at work.
Right.
And they were just like literally terrified to go
Do their
and
jobs.
do their jobs.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and so that I think for me was when it all kind of changed. And then over the years, him and I built a very strong relationship. My main driver, my main passion behind leadership is just to bring people together to have some fun and do a thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's all work is like we're coming together in a pocket of society to do a thing and to exercise these skills and passions that we have as human beings. And it has become this negative space more often than not. And I don't understand why we need
Yeah.
to do that, right?
Doesn't need to be.
Right. Um, yeah, do I want to be working for the rest of my life? Absolutely not. Like,
No, we want to be golfing.
yeah, like I wanted,
I want to play in a Tuesday, 10 a.m., maybe a 9 a.m. golf league, because then we have a late lunch on the patio after. That's what I want to be doing. But until then,
sounds nice.
let's have a good time at work.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And we have to do it. And why does it have to be such a terrible place? Like you bring a skill set and I'm interested in it. You bring a story and I'm interested in it. You bring a background and environment with you. I'm interested in it. Like tell me how I can best serve you. And then I'm going to talk to the 8 other people on this team and understand how to best serve them. And then I'm going to lead this team on how to best work together so that you all can have fun while you're doing this thing. And oh, by the way, we're going to get really good at it. And you're going to learn how to be a professional and you're going to learn extra skills and you're going to become invaluable to this organization because you know how to operate in this ecosystem that we have created. And in turn, you're going to go home happier. You're going to have more enjoyable moments with your friends and your family. You're going to get to do the things that you love to do.
Yeah.
And guess what? For all those executive that might be listening, like if we're having fun, we're more bought in. We're
Yeah.
working harder for you. It doesn't seem like such a chore to do it. And
Yeah.
it becomes a conversation, not of stress, but of enjoyment, right? And then we're just kinder to each other, just overall, like outside of work environments.
It just feels like the most obvious cheat code.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like the better we take care of each other, the harder we work because we want to keep repeating that motion. The more I'm taking care of people at work, it seems like the better they are at their jobs. Yeah. And so I'm just going to keep repeating that cycle.
Right.
Until it does not serve me. And that has yet to happen.
Right. Yeah. And it's what we're taught, right?
Yeah.
Like when we do go through these training classes, when you do look up leadership, these are the things that everyone talks about. Like this is not conceptually new. This wasn't just invented yesterday.
Yeah.
This isn't really difficult to understand. Yet it's absent in so many places. And if we can be intentional in how we direct our employees at all levels, understanding what the goal is, I just think we're creating a better place to work.
Oh, sounds lovely. It is lovely. It is lovely when that all comes together.
One of my biggest takeaways from being a fitness instructor from a class perspective, I would write workouts. I would like, this is the workout we're going to do today. And I would, bring them in and, I'm an energy guy, right? Like I'm a vibes guy. And I felt like some of these classes I was teaching, the energy just wasn't there. I found myself changing the structure of the workouts based off of the energy in the room. And as I would change them, I could feel the energy picking up. So I stopped prescriptively writing these workouts.
Yeah.
And I would take the class through a warm up, and I would like kind of get a vibe for what everybody was feeling. And then I would create a workout just on the spot. And that seemed to flow so much better. But what I learned was, if as I'm going through the instruction, if the majority of the class doesn't know what the move is or what the flow is, then that's on me. But if there's one or two people in the class that just aren't getting it, it's like, well, that's on them. And so it actually started helping me understand what reflection is and paying attention to how people were responding to the things I was asking. And if the majority understood my ask, then I felt pretty good about it. And then I could coach individuals knowing that it wasn't my style, it's probably their style. And then working with them to try to find like, what are the words that I can say that are going to resonate with you, just like they're resonating with the other people on the team. But if it was a situation where nobody was, then it was like a moment for me to say, okay,
I'm not explaining this well, or I'm not giving a good example.
Lean on that all the time. And then not only do I lean on it for myself, but I lean on it when I'm in a group listening to another leader share their message. And if I'm looking around the room, just kind of being like, are you picking this up? Or are you confused too? And if they're like, I'm confused too, then it's like, then I feel more empowered as the advocate to raise my hand and say, hey, I'm sorry. I'm not hearing what you're saying or understanding what you're saying. And that's pretty cool, because there's a lot of times where we're in these moments and we don't look around the room because we just assume it's us. And we walk out of these meetings and not knowing really how to take action or what the expectation is, because it was over your head for whatever reason.
Right.
And if you just are brave enough to like ask, you might find a first follower.
Right. Oh, you brought it full circle. Okay. Well, on that note, I think everything we've talked about is, it's not about being the leader. It's about being a leader in a way that, one, you have the skill and will to be, but also what the situation is calling for. And think about what kind of leader you are. What's your default style? And build some confidence in that. If you've always been an advocate or a caretaker and you haven't felt comfortable showing up that way because in your mind you have to be more, assertive or authoritative, like take a minute to think about that, of like, not every style is for everyone and not every style is for every situation. And you don't have to only be one style. You can have sort of, what is your foundation, and then what do you tap into when and why?
Yeah.
But yeah, because everyone's a leader and every situation needs leadership.
Absolutely. And that was very well said. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to do research. Don't be afraid to ask for a mentor.
Yeah.
I think that's also
people
helpful.
Love helping people. You'll find your people.
Yeah. And maybe we're helping.
As Mr. Rogers says, look for the helpers.
Mr. Rogers. What a classic.
I know. So anyways, thanks for joining us for this episode. If you came back from the first episode to this one, we appreciate you. And if this is your first time listening to us, we also appreciate you.
Absolutely. This one's a bit longer, so appreciate those that stuck through it.
All right. See you next time.
See you next time.